Manchester United have Aurélien Tchouaméni and Alex Scott high on their list of midfield targets. United are assessing which move to make next after seeing their targets Elliot Anderson and Enzo Fernández go elsewhere this week.
They're assessing their next options because Enzo Fernández was a player they looked at. They weren't willing to pay £85 million for, which Spurs were. That list includes Felix Metscher, Ayoub Bouhaddi, Sander Berge at Fulham and Eduardo Camavinga, who plays alongside Tchouaméni at Real Madrid. The situation around the Real Madrid players is slightly complicated by the fact that Real Madrid themselves are trying to sign a midfielder in this window. If they were to bring in a midfielder, maybe one would be allowed to depart, but it's our understanding Camavinga would be the one more likely to leave. So Tchouaméni, who would be one of United's top priorities, seems difficult for United to do at this moment in time, as is Alex Scott, because Bournemouth don't want to let him go in this transfer window. Had a brilliant season last time around, helping Bournemouth qualify for European football. They'll be playing in the Europa League this season. They want him to sign a new contract at Bournemouth as well. As far as they're concerned, they always give Marco Rosa the best possible squad for his first season in charge. But it is the priority for Manchester United in this transfer window. Plenty of names on the list, but it feels like Tchouaméni and Alex Scott are right at the very top after United have missed out on a number of different targets already in this transfer window.
James Savundra back alongside me to chat us through the latest deals. Let's start off with Manchester United and an outgoing, James.
Yes, Andre Onana is going back to Trabzonspor. Manchester United have confirmed that in the last few minutes. He's going on another loan spell. He enjoyed a really successful loan spell last year in Turkey at Trabzonspor. They finished third. They won the Turkish Cup as well. Onana played 40 times for the club, and there were no conversations, despite the fact he impressed in Turkey, about him coming back in pre-season and competing with Senna Lomans, who is now the outstanding #1 choice for United in terms of goalkeepers. So Onana has been arranged very early in this transfer window, will return to Turkey for another season, and when he returns after that, there'll be 1 year left in his contract. So it looks like United have found the best solution in this transfer window, though of course long term they'd like to get some money for him next summer if they can, before he leaves as a free agent in 2 years' time.
Yeah. In terms of income, of course, last summer, United were focusing top end of the pitch, the likes of Mbomo and Cunha, but the focus seems to really be on midfield this summer around. So who are the options they're looking at, James?
That is the priority for Manchester United in this transfer window, a midfielder. They're already going to get one in the form of Ederson from Atalanta. That will be confirmed as soon as Brazil go out of the World Cup. But Aurélien Tchouaméni, Alex Scott...
Or win it.
They could play England next Saturday evening at 10 o'clock, so let's wait and see. We may get a good glimpse of him there.
Yeah.
But in terms of those midfield options, Alex Scott, one of the ones top of the list. Aurélien Tchouaméni as well at Real Madrid. Those are two of the top targets when it comes to midfield. In terms of other options, Felix Metscher, Ayoub Bouhaddi, Sander Berge and Eduardo Camavinga, who's a teammate of Tchouaméni at Real Madrid. Two of the options they're looking at there. I guess the issue around the Real Madrid midfielders is the fact that Real Madrid are looking to revamp their midfield in this transfer window. They're looking to sign one more midfielder. There's a feeling if they do bring one in, then maybe one midfielder will be allowed to leave. You think that may be Camavinga. So I think Tchouaméni will be a very difficult player to get out of Real Madrid. Same being said about Alex Scott as well. Bournemouth don't want to sell him in this transfer window. If there was to be a race to sign him, you'd think Manchester United and Arsenal would be the front runners. Bournemouth want him to sign a new contract. We know how impressed Thomas Tuchel's been with him. He played for England during those warm-up matches earlier on before the World Cup. And they've got European football to look forward to this season as well. They want to keep him. Those two deals look very difficult for Manchester United to do. We know they definitely want to sign another midfielder alongside Ederson.
I guess the old cliche at this time of year, especially around relegated clubs, they're willing to do business on the cheap for their best players. West Ham keen to avoid that, though, and we know that there's plenty of players there of interest. So what can you tell us, especially around these two?
I think we need to give West Ham plenty of credit for getting £85 million from Enzo Fernández.
Sure.
A brilliant start to the transfer window for them in terms of recouping some money. Here are two players who are likely to be top of the agenda. Manchester United see Somerville as one of the top left-wing options. Crescencio Somerville did so well for West Ham last season, didn't quite do enough to keep them up, did well at the World Cup with the Netherlands, and United have held exploratory initial talks with West Ham around trying to sign him in this transfer window. His future is expected to be clarified over the course of the next few weeks after the Netherlands went out of the World Cup against Morocco earlier on this week. When it comes to Jarrod Bowen, the club captain, a slightly different stance from West Ham. They do not want to sell him in this transfer window, despite plenty of interest from Premier League clubs in this transfer window. No price tag has been given or quoted to clubs. He's got a contract up until 2030, which puts West Ham in a really, really strong position. And also he was featured on the launch of their new home kit ahead of the season they're going to have in the Championship this season. He'll be back for pre-season next week. West Ham don't want to let him go. So it seems like Bowen is not for sale. Somerville, it looks like there is interest across the Premier League. Manchester United, one of the clubs looking to sign him. At the same time for Manchester United, they got Marcus Rashford back at the club. Barcelona didn't take the option to buy him permanently. I don't think United would consider another loan spell for him. So if Rashford's reintegrated and plays a part this season, then will they sign a left winger? It feels like when it comes to United bringing in someone on the left-hand side, Rashford's future is absolutely key here.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, obviously we've had the significant change in terms of Michael Carrick now being permanent head coach. I wonder if that might potentially change his fortunes. You mentioned Camavinga, Tchouaméni. Well,
midfielders are dominating the narrative so far in this transfer window. But the Sunderland captain, Granit Xhaka, will not be leaving the club. We at Sky Sports News can exclusively confirm. Now, Sunderland rejected an £8 million bid from Chelsea, with Xhaka initially attracted by the prospect of being reunited with Xabi Alonso after their time together at Bayer Leverkusen. But following discussions with Sunderland, Xhaka has reaffirmed his commitment to the club and now wants to stay on Weir's side. Well, the opportunity to lead Sunderland in the Europa League next season, together with the club's long-term ambition and trajectory, were understood to be decisive factors in his decision. So, he won't be heading to Stamford Bridge. And is Enzo Fernández staying as well? Well, Real Madrid have issued a statement to strongly deny they have any interest in the Chelsea midfielder after speculation about a possible move in excess of £100 million.
In March on international duty, he spoke about liking Madrid, and it's felt like he and his representatives have been pushing for a move away from Chelsea this summer towards Real Madrid. But Real Madrid took a slightly surprising step today and released a statement confirming they have no intention to buy Enzo Fernández in this transfer window, which is almost unheard of. But they did do it earlier on this summer when it came to Marco Olise. They released a statement saying, we're not trying to sign him, we never have been. As far as Chelsea are concerned, especially when you look at the figures being bandied around this summer already for the likes of Sandro Tonali and Elliot Anderson, they value Enzo Fernández at more than £100 million. He still has a contract up until 2032. And you think with the valuation Chelsea have on him, how many clubs in Europe have the opportunity to spend £100 million on a single player? So I think this is quite a significant day today because it makes it feel clear that he's more likely to stay at Chelsea than to leave in the summer transfer window.
Now, England will face World Cup co-host Mexico in the Azteca on Sunday as they aim to book a place in the quarter-finals at the World Cup. Thomas Tuchel and his players have been supported by thousands of travelling fans, but ticket prices could affect attendances for the last 16 tie. Well, our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokol, with some clothes on, has the details.
There'll be up to 6,000 England fans at the Azteca Stadium. They already have their tickets. But if you want to buy a last-minute ticket, you're in for a nasty surprise because you have to be very, very rich to be able to afford one. On FIFA's official resale platform, tickets at the moment are going for between $3,900 and $40,000. The cheapest ticket I can find at the moment is around £2,900, and the most expensive one is around £26,000. Incredible prices. Now, the local authorities here have praised the behaviour of England fans so far. They say there have been absolutely no reports of violence or disorder. I think so far during this World Cup there have been just 5 arrests of England fans, and those were all, we're being told, for relatively minor matters like shoplifting and being drunk and disorderly. We've had some advice from the Foreign Office for England fans who are going to the game. They say only buy tickets from official FIFA platforms. There'll be no tickets on sale at the stadium. And they also say just make sure you have your passport or another form of ID on you at all times.
Well, it's going to be a tough test for the England players in the Azteca as Mexico are yet to concede a goal in the tournament. Well, speaking in the Lions' Den, the captain Harry Kane and Anthony Gordon gave their thoughts on the tie. Saudi Pro League side Al Nassr have announced that Ange Postecoglou is their new coach on a 2-year deal. The former Spurs, Celtic and Nottingham Forest manager replaces Jorge Jesus, who left the club immediately after guiding them to the league title. Well, as well as Ronaldo, the Saudi champions have Sadio Mane, Kingsley Coman and Joao Felix in their squad. Postecoglou has been out of management since he left Nottingham Forest last year when he was sacked just 39 days after his appointment, after going winless in his opening 8 games in charge, which included 6 defeats. The Australian previously managed Spurs, of course. He guided them to the Europa League title in 2025 before he was sacked 2 weeks later when they finished 17th in the Premier League. Well, he'd been one of the names linked with the Scotland head coach's role after Steve Clarke resigned, but he's now heading to Saudi. He guided Celtic to 2 Scottish Premiership titles during his 2-year stint in Glasgow and made himself known as a coach who always wins trophies in his 2nd season. Now, the German FA will hold talks with Jurgen Klopp about taking over as head coach of the national side following Julian Nagelsmann's resignation. The German FA say Klopp has already indicated he wants the job and he is their dream candidate to take over. His current role as the head of global soccer at Red Bull includes a special exit clause for the Germany job. Well, Nagelsmann held talks with officials from the German FA yesterday following their shock World Cup exit at the hands of Paraguay. Well, those discussions have resulted in Nagelsmann stepping down.